Our guest today, once again, Frank Lavin, worked a long time with state and knows a thing or two about these bilateral, trilateral, multilateral relationships. You had to read between the lines there, beyond the rhetoric. I mean, was there a change in position at all?
Very much a change in tone, also a change in position. I think Obama realizes in order to launch a Mideast peace process, he's got to have credibility with the Arab states and with the Arab Street. So this was an outreach to the general Arab population, symbolically in terms of tone, also some substantive change as well. And I think it was successful in terms of a launch. Whether the ultimate policy will be successful is something we'll only know over the coming months and years. But in terms of getting that initial buy-in, I think, from the Arab community, yeah, it's a good start.
I understand that the Israelis are a little bit ruffled under the collar about this because, I mean, the fact putting and the president referred to Palestine. Wasn't the standard bearer of the status quo to call it the future Palestinian state?
I don't know if a president's ever referred to Palestine explicitly as if it were a country today.
And the Israelis are upset about what they feel is a jettisoning of an understanding with the previous Bush administration that there would be limited settlement build-outs on the bank, even though they called it a freeze. And there's a little bit of soft.
Obama's been tougher. Under Bush, the settlements were geographically limited, but not the population. So they wouldn't expand geographically, but if a family had children, that was okay. Under Obama, Obama said that's not acceptable. There can be no population increase, not even natural population increase in those settlements.
As far as as far as this speech being this address being sort of the kickoff, what comes next in terms of solid action in terms of execution? It's one thing to stand there and talk off the teleprompter. It's another thing to actually enact changes.
Fair enough. But setting the tone and reconnecting, I think, with the Arab street, so to speak, is not a bad way to start. I think the next set of activities is dealing with that centrist Arab leadership in Egypt, Saudi Arabia, Jordan, the people who will work with the United States for a two-state solution. And I think the key point there is let's get buy-in among these countries that they're going to be able to support the U.S. when we come to a final agreement to help push the Palestinians to accept what's on the table, and then we're going to have to push Israel to accept what's on the table.
When he brought up Iraq, Afghanistan, Ahmadinejad in Iran, they're busy having presidential campaign debates right now, so they're a little bit preoccupied there. What do you think is going to come out of this in terms of alignments? Will there be more friction with Israel? Is this relationship with
U.S.?
U.S.-Israel. Is it going to be a little more tenuous?
I think there is going to be a bit of friction there. Look, for Israel to move on any of these issues is a huge domestic political issue in Israel. And I think what we're headed for, frankly, is where Bill Clinton had us about 10 years ago, which was some compromises on each side, a two-state solution. And that, frankly, that wouldn't be a bad answer if that's where we end up in a year. But it does require political adjustment and a bit of political pain within Israel.
Is any resolution, the Mideast conflict, Frank, I mean, goes back, I'm sure when you were a kid, it was going on and on and on. And I grew up watching Camp David and Anwar Sadat, Menachem Begin, Jimmy Carter greeting, and then subsequently Clinton, and then the leaders at that time. We've gone through rounds and rounds, and seem to have really progressed nowhere in a large respect. Do you think Obama has a chance to bring the parties
I think it does
together
have a chance. I think it does have a chance. Look, it will require enormous political capital and investment, and there's going to have to be compromises on each side. But I think there is a positive scenario. By the way, there was one huge breakthrough under Jimmy Carter, which was the Sinai Accord. Egypt got its territory back. Israel withdrew. So there is one positive move. There was quite a significant one. So it has not all been bleakness and friction over these last few decades.
Okay. Do you think Obama and his hope and change message is the right messenger to bring about a real solution?
I think he's got credibility in the Arab community. He's going to have a little friction on the Israeli side. The question is Palestinian leadership strong enough to be able to take a deal that might not be 100% of what they want, but it might be 95% of what they want? Can they take that and live with that?
Okay. As part of the trip, of course, it wasn't all work for President Obama. Here's another happening during the trip to the Middle East. He found an amusing resemblance between himself and something inside one of the great wonders of the world. These are the pyramids. Take a look at this, Frank. He's at the front door.
And actually...
That looks like me. Look at those ears.
Boy, wait a minute.
Oh, you won't.
Somebody has called him the Messiah previously. I guess somebody saw it coming. I think this is in the Gaza, not the Giza, but, oh no, I take that back. Yeah, Giza, in the ancient pyramids of Egypt. Oh, good that he can take in a little bit of R and R. And his handlers were saying that he understood what he was looking at and asked some very intelligent questions, very prepared, very, very good student indeed, the president in the Mideast. So the comma